All right, welcome to Mostly Lifting Stuff. We're back after a long layoff for some exams.
Episode number 532.
I think it's actually 16.
Fact check that one. But yeah, we had exams. You did some trips.
Did a vacation to Florida. Had to do decompress after school.
Yeah. So that's where we've been. I didn't go on vacation, but I don't know. I've been here.
We have an awesome guest today. We've been trying to get on the show for probably 5 months, but she's, I don't know.
Too busy.
I don't think she doesn't even sleep, honestly. She probably just goes. So
let me just give you some background here. We have the Vietnamese phenom, Maria Dinh, and that is a D-I-N-H. That's how you spell it, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. D-I-N-H, Vietnamese phenom. Make sure you get that. If you look her up on Instagram, which doesn't exist, that's what it's under. So she's health sciences major, and she listed off all this crap. Pre-health science with psychology and nutrition, right? Something like...
There's 3 different majors.
Oh,
I mean, it's not a big deal or anything.
Can you show some respect to our guest, please?
Sorry. 3 different majors. Competed in strongman, but we're quoting strong. We're going to trademark that right now.
Yeah.
Powerlifting competitions, but now also CrossFit. So we really just have a whole hodgepodge of information. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So how did you turn into this powerlifter, strongman competitor? How did that all come to be?
Well, I think it kind of started with anyone who starts off fitness. In the beginning, it was just I wanted to go to the gym to work out and lose weight, get fit, things like that. So initially I actually started as a cardio bunny, which I feel like every female athlete has started at that point, I was just running a shit ton. That didn't really do much for me, but I was still doing it for a while. And then it was actually, I didn't get into weightlifting until I dated a bodybuilder, and he just brought me to the gym one day, and he was just teaching me how to squat. And I specifically remember too, he was we got to the squat rack, and he's all right, unrack the bar, and the bar's 45 pounds, and he told me to squat it. First of all, I quarter squatted that shit, and I couldn't even get it up. That's how weak I was, because I was never an athlete growing up. I didn't do any sports or anything. So yeah, I don't know, he introduced me into it, and I don't know, I would say 3 months in, once it started becoming a ritual and stuff, I actually started getting those new gains, getting super strong and stuff. I worked out at Royal Oak Gym. I don't know if you guys have been there before.
I've not, no.
It's a badass gym. But one of the coaches there, he coached for powerlifting, and he just kind of noticed that I was this tiny 100-pound chick, deadlifting a good number, and so he was oh yeah, you should try powerlifting. And I was what's that? Because I didn't know a thing about working out or bodybuilding or any of that. And he was yeah, it's just squat, bench, and deadlift, which what I was kind of doing. He was you just kind of compete, and you try to get the best total, the strongest person wins. So I was yeah, I don't know, we'll see, and a couple months go by, and my boyfriend and I actually split. But I still, at that point, I really, really liked working out, so I kept going and stuff. But I kind of didn't have a direction, because I was always, following him, doing, what he did. And so one of the days, I just, went up to the coach, and I was yeah, let's just give this a try. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just put me through a workout, let's see how it goes. And then we did, a deadlift session where he made me max out. Straight off the bat, right? Made me max out from the ground, from block pulls, all sorts of crazy ass deadlift variations. And to me, I was such a masochist. I was this is fun, this is fucking great. So it kind of just headed off from there. He was okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was working out every day anyways, so he's I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll get your bench and your squats down. And then before you know it, I competed a couple months after that.
So how'd you do competing?
Really, surprisingly, really well. I was in the AAPF Federation, broke, I think, state, national, and world record. during that time.
Really?
So, yeah, because I weighed in at like 100 pounds, and then I deadlifted like a little over 303 or something, which was, at that time, it was good. Because this was like 5 years ago.
Okay.
So, at that time, that was pretty strong. But now, it's like, nah.
That's still nuts, though.
That's crazy.
World
yeah.
record holder. We
Yeah.
should have led with that, probably.
Why didn't you mention that? We asked you what you want to be introduced with, and you didn't mention world record holder.
I don't know.
Olympic gold medalist, maybe. I mean, did you go to the Olympics? Man.
But yeah, so after that, a couple of things happened. First, I was cutting for weight because I just wanted to be leaner, and my plan was to, like, after powerlifting, go into bikini NPC. So I was cutting weight. For one, I was cutting weight by myself, and again, like, during this time, I didn't even know that, like, I was still, I'd say senior. No, I was a freshman in college, but I didn't know what I wanted to be, so I wasn't really, like, studying for pre-med or any of that. So I didn't know a lick of, like, nutrition, fitness, or anything. So I was basically just starving myself. Like, I was, like, tracking, making sure that I would eat, like, 700 to 900 calories a day.
Oh my gosh.
Mind you, my coach, like, his philosophy was trained to, in order to lift heavy, you gotta lift heavy. So he had me maxing out, like, every single day. And then I was doing cardio to try to cut even more weight. So that's why I said I was, like, surprised that I did very well at the competition, because I was just, like, I was basically, like, tearing my metabolism down, like, my thyroid health, my hormones, like, everything after the competition took a complete shit. So the NPC stuff was in the back burner. I was, like, my hair's falling out, like, TMI, but, like, my menstrual cycle happened, like, the entire month, for a whole month straight. Like, it didn't stop, all this stuff. My strength, like, took a shit. I remember, like, getting under 135 to squat and just warm up, and I was like, why does this feel like 1,000 pounds, So I told them that I needed to take a break, and on top of that, I think I don't know if I herniated anything, but I had, like, really bad sciatica nerve pain from, like, just lifting so much, and probably rounding my back, to be honest with you, because I was a conventional deadlifter, and I didn't know too much about form either, and, like, my coach, he had great intentions, great man and everything, but he was very, very old school, so he didn't help me too much about form and things like that. And the only reason why I was, like, so successful initially was because that was my first time ever, like, picking up weights, so I had a lot of, like, noob gains in me. Like, I was just getting stronger. Like anyone, you throw a stimulus to them, anything new, they're gonna automatically get stronger no matter what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I actually took a whole year off after that, just to, like, fix my hormones and my metabolism and my injury too. So that was bad.
Do you ever wonder, like, if you would have had, like, really good coaching and, like, really good nutrition, I mean, if you already set like a world record at that point, like, what you could have done?
Oh yeah, I think about that. Like, I thought about that all the time, and even to this day, I still kind of think about it, like, on a regular basis, because everyone was like, like, you're, like, my bench was pretty shitty, but my deadlift and my squat was, like, pretty impressive, and I'm like, damn, if only, like, I knew about the right way of eating and form, all that stuff. I think I would still be into powerlifting, and, like, who knows, like, if I would be, like, a pre-med major right now, you know what I mean? Because I was, like, obsessed with the sport. I was really into it. I was really passionate about it, but the only thing that stopped me was, like, my health. And of course, at the end of the day, your health comes first. If you're not well, you can't perform well. So
Right.
Yeah.
So you think you're gonna ever, like, get back to it, or do you think?
Now probably not, because I have other goals in mind now. I mean, I still love fitness, and I still work out, and I still love to do, like, athletic training and, like, functional movements and strength training and all that stuff. But now it's more of, like, med school, other goals. Fitness is just to work out, stay healthy, do it for fun, like, to keep me healthy and happy. But now my main focus is, like, building a career and doing all that stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you? So you took a year off, and then is that when you started doing strongman, or was there?
No. So I took the year off, and I was just gonna do just basic bodybuilding, just kind of train for fun. But even then, my adrenals and my thyroid, my hormone, everything was so bad to the point where lifting was just it was awful. Everything felt so heavy, and I was tired all the time. I actually gained 30 pounds almost instantly after my competition. Granted, I stopped tracking and stuff like that, but a lot that weight that I gained was not healthy. It was basically all fat. I gained it within a month, I'd say. I couldn't even squat, deadlift, or bench half the numbers that I was doing. My health was just so shitty, and I felt so unwell that I went to the doctors. I kind of told them what happened and stuff, and their only suggestion at the time was okay, let's stop working out, put you on birth control or an antidepressant. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not depressed. Why do you need to go on an antidepressant? But those were their recommendations. So I opted for the birth control, and it actually made my shit even worse. I felt even worse. And at this point, that was my life at the time. Because I didn't know what I was doing with my life, my future. I thought powerlifting was going to be my thing, So I was pretty sad. It sucked for a while, and I couldn't, when you're going to the doctors for help, you're asking your coach for help, you're asking for people for help, and no one has answers. Everyone just kind of feels bad for you, but they can't help you. And that's when I kind of took my own initiative to figure out okay, what do I need to do and stuff. Because it's what's that saying, you don't drown by falling in water, right? You drown by staying in there. Mm-hmm. So I'm I gotta get myself out of this situation. So I started doing a lot of research, reading tons of books, going online, listening to podcasts, talking to other doctors and stuff, and getting their opinion. And so I actually took that whole year. I lifted a little bit, not much, but it was mainly just to repair my body.
Okay.
And then after that, I started feeling a little bit better. And I switched gyms because I wasn't competing anymore. And Royal Oak Gym is actually pretty far from me. So a gym called Rochester Performance Gym opened up. And so I started hanging out there. And I got a new coach at that time to try to get me back in the swing of powerlifting, because I finally felt okay again. But somewhere along the lines, things got a little warped, and I got into strongman. My coach was really into strongman at that time, so he was kind of showing me how to do some of the implements and stuff, and that was fun to me. And he was like, hey, you're strong enough to compete, so you should try this. And I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. And for me, always lifting heavy is always fun.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding, not so much. It's not really my interest. For me, it's always lifting heavy shit. So I was like, hell yeah, let's try this. And then, yeah, and I got into my second competition for strongman.
Okay. So did you compete just once for strongman, or did you do it a couple times? Or?
No, just once.
Once.
I actually competed last summer at Frankenmuth. It was for Michigan's Strongest. I don't know what the fancy name of it was, but it was actually, I think it was a world's qualifier too. I might be wrong, or a nationals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was intense. It was a lot of fun, but definitely that challenged the shit out of me, because I was competing with girls that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's what are you actually doing at the strongman?
They have a bunch of different implements. So I guess the one that I did, we started off with I think it's called the yoke run. I don't remember the specific name. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's basically you have a rack across your back
with weight on it.
Okay.
And then you run from point A to point B. You run back, you grab a sandbag, and then you run it to the yoke, and then toss it over. So I think the yoke was, I want to say 385 pounds or something. The sandbag, I think, was 150, I think, around there. They do that for time. So whoever, for under my division, it was the noob division. There was only 5 of us, but basically whoever was the fastest, I think you would go last for the second implement, and then it kind of goes in reverse order. If that makes sense. So that was the first implement. What was the second one? I think it was the press medley, which absolutely demolished me because my upper body strength is like pathetic, like really bad. They have like the axle bar. It's basically like a barbell but way thicker, where you have to deadlift it from the ground and then flip it up, push it over your head. So that was one of them. One of them was like a 80-pound, I think it was 80 pounds, 80-pound block. You have to kind of lap it up and then like press it over your head too. And that thing freaking sucked. Like for me, because I'm like a strong 5'2.5" girl. You know that block. Like once I get it to my body and press it over, I can't see shit. Like it's very, very large.
Yeah.
Same with like the log press. Like every time I deadlift it and then like roll it up towards my neck, I have to like literally look straight up towards the ceiling, and even then, like all I see is a log.
That one scares me. I see that one. It's like, how do people not? Because they do like the press and they come right back down to their chest. It's like, how are they not hitting themselves like in the chin?
Yeah,
with
you gotta be careful. To me, it's fun, but like if you're not bracing correctly and things like that, like I've almost passed out a couple of times, and I've actually passed out one time using the Atlas stones, which was the last implement. But so the pressing medley. Oh, and then like a huge ass dumbbell. It was like 80 pounds, and the handle is like pretty thick as well, and you gotta press that over your head. So that was the second one. So you do that for time. I think max you only get like 60 seconds. The third one is, what was it? I totally like I'm like zoning out. I'm like forgetting all the names of them. But keg toss.
Okay. Yeah, over the bar.
Yeah. I don't know how tall the thing was or how much weight it was. I don't remember. But that was the third implement. The fourth one was the car deadlift, which no one fucking got because I don't know if you can swear on this podcast, but
that's fine. You're good.
Cut it off. But no one got it because they actually messed it up. So I think the car deadlift was supposed to be like 400, 500 pounds, but it somehow ended up being like 725 pounds. So everyone zeroed out of that.
How high is like the bar set for that? Like, because I mean a barbell's,
I would say like halfway from to your shin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty low.
Yeah, it is. So what the nice thing about strongman is you can actually get it past your knees and hitch it, because you're doing it for reps. You're supposed to do it for reps.
Okay.
But I think they moved the car like too forward. I don't know what happened, but none of the girls, like even the girls above my weight class and division and stuff, like no one got it. And then the last one was my favorite one, was the Atlas stones. So you start with, I think, 120 pound stone, goes up to 150, 175, and then like 200. And then you basically deadlift it up, lap it, and then roll it up onto like a platform. Which
for a short person.
For short girls. Oh yeah, the platform was literally to the bridge of my nose. Like it was like I almost have to I gotta get real explosive and almost kind of use that momentum and then kind of calf raise it. But like if I'm ever at a position, at the bottom position where I get stuck, like there's no way I can push that thing over.
Okay.
But for tall people, they have an advantage there.
Use your face to push against it too. Or
Oh yeah, I remember one of the first few sessions where I was training on how to use the Atlas stones. I was never very good at bracing. I never knew how to correctly brace. I would always just hold my breath for everything. And I remember the stone, it was stuck towards my chest. And I was literally a millimeter away from the platform. And I was so excited to get it past the platform that I just kind of froze there, trying to push this thing, also not breathing. And I just passed out. Apparently the stone dropped, not on me. Thankfully it dropped on the floor. I took a step and just hit my face against the wall at RPG and just knocked out.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
And I woke up and I was like, what happened? And everyone was surrounding me. They're like, Maria, you just passed out. And I was like, oh, did I get it? And they're like, no, you didn't. That shouldn't even matter. And I was so upset. I was like, I want to try again. And then they're like, hell no, you're done for the day. If anything, do you need to go to the hospital? Are you okay?
Oh my god.
And I remember I was so dumb. I got in the car to go home. with my boyfriend, and I was like crying, and I was like, I feel like such a little bitch, like I didn't get that, you know. And like, who passes out? I was like the only girl that ever passed out in that gym. And then he was like, Maria, like you just need to calm down, like, you know, like we're like, you scared the living hell out of me when you like passed out, you know. It's all that matters is that you're safe. You can try that again the next time. Like, don't be crying about that, you know?
I mean, it's more like cool than anything, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're like pushing yourself to like that point.
That point, yeah.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I can get a little competitive, so.
That strongman sounds awful. I'm just going to come out and say
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Honestly, I think it's more fun than powerlifting.
Okay.
Just because you switch it up. There's so many different implements and stuff. And it's never like... I think there's a couple implements where you do max out, but it's mostly like heavy weight and like for reps. I don't know. I think it's fun. It's different.
So you have like an addictive personality though. So like you get going on something and you're like, this is my life. Like I'm going to like dominate this now. Like it seems like you like once you pick something up, like.
I wouldn't say like I have an addictive personality, but I definitely am very like competitive, and it's just like against myself. Like I don't know, I have this weird thing where like anything that's like hard to accomplish or hard to do, it makes me even hungrier to like try to like have at it and like, you know, triumph or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, like, cause now like I don't have like the urge or like hunger to compete or anything, but I'm doing CrossFit now. And the only reason why I decided to join CrossFit was because, well, actually, so I'm a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I train clients at TwiFit, and one of the girls, she does CrossFit, and she was like, hey, like, you know, we're having this event at my CrossFit gym where I can bring family and friends in, and she asked me if I wanted to go, because she knows that I love to do different classes and try different things just to learn from different trainers, different training styles, to see what I can bring to my gym and my personal training services, you know?
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'm down to try it. And oh my god, it sucked. It was so bad. It was like it was like all endurance. It was lots of like pull-ups, burpees, running, like sprinting, assault bike, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I got my ass whooped. Like I was like last place in that gym, and it was really hard, and it's like really mentally challenging for me too, because I was so used to like 1 rep max. Okay, take a break. You know, do the best you can, and then take a break. For CrossFit, it was like you either do it for time, as many reps as possible in a certain amount of time, or like you do 3 rounds of like different exercises, but as fast as you can. So it's like no rest time, you know. And I don't know, like, it was so hard, and I was really bad at it, and because I was bad at it, and because it challenged me, I'm like, now I'm taking that on, you know?
Right.
But it's definitely, now it's just more for fun, not so much like I want to compete and get somewhere with it, just for my own, like, mental sanity, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget I was watching something on Netflix, and it was about a guy, I don't know if it was Matt Frazier, what's the other guy's name who won like 3 or 4 times?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. It was one of those guys though, and they were basically saying like what makes people like really good at CrossFit is the ability to go on like 80% for like most of the time and just like be on like cruise control. And then when it gets like when you need to win something, then you have like gas in the tank basically, and you can like go get it.
Yeah. It's definitely like CrossFit to me, because endurance is not my strong suit, you know. I'm like when I was like training at the CrossFit gym, and you have to do like these one-on-one sessions before you actually join their class, so they know that you know what you're doing and things like that. And the guy that was coaching me, he was like, Maria, you have like all the strength in the world, but you have 0 skill, like no athleticism. You can't run, can't jump, and I really can't.
Yikes.
Like all these like athletic things, because I never did sports. Like when I was younger, I didn't move a muscle. I mean, I joined basketball in 6th grade, but I was like benched half the time because I sucked. So,
at least you're honest.
So I forgot what I was saying, but
So you're better like feet on the floor, bench, squat, deadlift,
Don't
lifting
move.
heavy things.
Oh, yeah.
Don't move really while you're already.
Yeah,
Once you're
and,
there,
like,
don't move anymore.
So with that mental aspect of like lifting heavy, like I got it, like I'm good at that. But like for some reason, like when it comes to like pushing yourself endurance wise and keep going and not resting, like that was a huge struggle for me. And like my coach was saying at CrossFit, like he's like, yeah, it's like, you know, your body's capable of like a lot, like it can do a lot of amazing things. So you know, during the session, like you stopping, that's all on like you. Like your body can keep going, but it's just your mind and your mentality. Like you saying like, oh shit, I'm tired and stuff, I can't do this, but you really can. And so that, like trying to overcome that is like a thing in itself too that I like to, you know.
Yeah, they say we talked with somebody else we had on the podcast about like your second win basically, and like how that's like such a real thing where you can just like find this like next gear and just like keep going even when you think you're like down and out basically.
Yeah.
What is that?
Hold on, I gotta turn that off. One second.
There we go.
Okay, we're good.
The old TV was on. No big deal.
No big deal.
But yeah, I mean,
So are you training, like how often are you training for CrossFit now?
I just started. I just got through my one-on-one sessions. Oh, by the way, like I already told you guys this off of the podcast or whatever, but a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, CrossFit, like their form sucks, they suck and all this stuff. And like honestly, it just depends on the person. Like when I did my one-on-one sessions, like the guy, he like was really nitpicky with my form, and I actually learned a shit ton from him. Like even though we're both, you know, personal trainers and we're both coaches, like I took away so much from like the one-on-one sessions I did with him, and he's really particular with form. I think when it comes down to it, it depends on the person. Like, cause you know, you see people powerlifting, they're rounding their back, their asses off the bench. Like you see people in bodybuilding doing things that look kind of sketchy. Like it just depends on the person. Everyone can have bad form. You know what I mean? So like it's not. I don't know where it came from, where like CrossFit had that really bad reputation, but like as far as like my experiences, that's not the case.
I think it's just like people see like videos of stuff and it's like always like the horrific, you know, you think about like the guy with like the headband on and like the sweatbands on, like, you know, trying to do like a clean and like throwing the bar on his neck and like getting snapped backwards. Like that's like what most people like, that's what like CrossFit, like when it comes,
yeah,
that's what they first think of. It's
that
like,
reminds me, there was a video of a guy saying that he did like 100 pull-ups in like, I don't know, like a minute or something, and he was in CrossFit, and you watch the video and like he does 100 pull-ups and none of them counted. None of them, because he was just like flopping like fish on land. And I'm like, oh my god.
what is that called though? That's like a thing in CrossFit.
That is a thing. I don't butterflies, or I don't know CrossFit terms.
That's part of the reason I think CrossFit gets a bad rap. Is you see like those guys, it's like just like
Yeah.
it's just like they're trying to like throw their like chin at the bar basically, and then like duck away from it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Have you done those?
No.
No.
But I think he showed me a variation of it, but there's form to it. It's not just you like flopping around like hoping to God that you're gonna get your chin above the bar. Like there's stuff like he works a lot with like core, and I don't know, there's form to everything that I've learned so far, at least. So
Yeah.
because for sure, like, you know, because I'm a personal trainer, like if I did my one-on-one sessions or joined his class and like everyone's form was complete booty and like he didn't know what he was doing, I definitely wouldn't join, you know.
Right.
Because as much as like I love the push and the challenge, you got to be safe and you got to be smart.
Yeah. I think like athletic wise, if you look at the top CrossFit people and you compare them to like the top like bodybuilding people or like powerlifting or like strongman, like they are way more advanced like athletically.
They're so jacked.
Yeah,
like,
I believe it.
Everyone has abs.
I believe that.
Yeah, they are.
Everyone has abs.
Like you just see like the pictures of them, videos of them doing stuff. It's like holy crap! Like these guys could probably like branch off into any of those like avenues and be good at it.
Yeah.
Where like you see like a top powerlifter who's like 340 pounds or something, you're like, that's
it.
That's what
Right.
he can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was another reason why I kind of like switched gears too, because like powerlifting was a lot of fun, like and so is strongman, but they're both like strength based things, right? And like after strongman, I was training with other people, and I realized, I was like, dude, I got second place for strongman or whatever, and I won first place for powerlifting, and I can't even like do more than 2 push-ups, can't even do a single pull-up. Like, I was really weak in other areas, and like, you know, to have that huge dynamic of like a strength and weakness kind of thing, I was like, this is kind of concerning.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't even like run a mile without like feeling like I was gonna puke my guts out. Like, I was like, okay, maybe I should work on a couple other things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely like we'll play basketball, and I don't know, it's like eye-opening sometimes where after like the first game or second game we're like, wow, this isn't as easy as it used to be, because like we both played basketball in high school, we had like a coach, like we ran a lot, and so I mean I was probably like, we were both probably like 180 pounds, we could run all freaking day.
Yeah, if we needed to.
Yeah, I mean we'd look like we were starved to death, but we could just go and go and go.
Yep.
But
yeah, that sucks. I ran a mile the other day.
Did you?
Probably like
How'd
a
that
week
go?
ago. Oh, dude, it was rough. It was really rough. I'm not
How
gonna
long
lie.
did it take you to run a mile?
I think like 9 minutes.
don't let him fool you, this man's fast.
I don't know.
Used to be, at least.
Used to be fast. Well, I don't know if we got it anymore. Probably not. I did beat, I'm going to call out Kevin Voss on this podcast. I beat him in the 200 one time.
That was fun. Freshman year
of college.
We were living in the dorms,
jeez.
and there's a bunch of guys like him, Kevin, and another guy. We're all like talking trash to each other, like how they can beat each other in the 200 because I ran track in high school.
Yeah.
So we had a flag football game. And before the game, they were like warming up for like 15 minutes, and I'm like standing at the finish line, like
That's hilarious.
I'm like yelling across the track, "Go!"
It was great. But
It was just like a
we
big
beat him.
pissing
So,
contest.
you,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
beat him?
I did.
That's all
yeah.
that matters.
No, you got
No.
second.
That's
though.
the. That's
I did get second, but I beat
come
Kevin,
on.
so it was
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Second out of 3. So
Yeah.
so
It's a medal.
So this is like something that I've kind of become like more aware of, I guess, in like the programming I'm doing now, because I'm doing powerlifting. The guy that sets it up, he's like more a fan of training like conservatively. So have you kind of, I mean, obviously you weren't training conservatively when you first started powerlifting, but like now,
Yeah, but you saw my outcome.
right? But now, are you like, is that something you're conscious of, or are you just kind of like, you know, going with like the flow on a particular day, or like how do you like, do you regulate that at all, or do you?
Well, now that I'm training for like something else, like not so much like strength based or competing, it's a little bit different. I'm a lot more lenient with like, if I, let's say on a day where I plan to squat or do lower body or whatever, and I don't feel like doing it, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
But when I was competing, I tried to stay like on top of my program and all that. But after learning from powerlifting and getting injured and like burning myself down consistently, I learned from that. And then for strongman, like if my energy wasn't there and like, but my form was okay and things were moving, at least they were moving, even if they weren't moving fast, I would stick with it, you know.
Okay.
But if my form breaks down at anything, even if it was an RPE of like 5, or we were just doing like what should be light work or easy work, and my form broke down, because sometimes my coach wouldn't be there, and I would, you know, just you do your own whatever. I would go down and wait and just, you know, because every day is different. There's different variables you gotta throw in the factors too, like how much sleep did you get? Did you eat something that you're sensitive to? Did you eat enough? Like, are you stressed? Like, there's so many other things that will contribute to your strength, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing, like, a lot of powerlifting programs I've found, like, because I've done a few different ones, but, you know, there's, like, ones where most of them, you're trying to hit numbers every week. And, like, if you get in a funk or something, it's, like, you get, I don't know, they call it, like, post-training anxiety or whatever. Because I'm, like, the type of person where I go to the gym, and then, like, the rest of the day I'm thinking about, like, what I did and, like, what I have to do the next day. And, like, if I have a day where I'm not hitting the numbers I'm supposed to, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, do I need to, like, go back down and, like, rebuild my technique? And, like, I just start, like, you know, I, like, overthink a lot of these things. And so I think, like, programming conservatively, especially for powerlifting, I think that's a beneficial, because, like, at least with the program I'm using now, like, what I've done so far, there was like no doubt going into the gym that I was going to hit the numbers I was supposed to.
Right.
But I guess it's just like, how do you walk that line though of building your confidence in your technique, but also like challenging yourself enough?
Yeah. Well, you're not a robot. You got to realize, you know, like those numbers in your program, they're just numbers. Like you're the best judge. Like you got to be the judge, like the best judge, right? Like you know your body the most. I guess it kind of depends like how in tune you are with your body, but like if you don't hit those numbers, it doesn't fucking mean anything.
Right.
Like, you know, it's all in your head. Like, do the best you can. And I think I completely agree with you. Like, being conservative, I think, is the safest and the best way. Because, I mean, what's the rush?
Right.
You know? Like, if this is what you're passionate about and this is what you love, you should be enjoying, like, every day doing it. You should be enjoying the journey. Like, not focus so much on like the end goal. And like, you know, that you've seen, there's a lot of people out there, like if you get greedy with your numbers, like it's gonna bite you in the butt. Like you're either gonna get hurt or, you know, I single-handedly had to deal with that. Like I got hurt, injured, and my hormones were completely screwed because I didn't give my body a break, you know? So like if you're not doing it, if no one's paying you to like compete and hit certain numbers and stuff, like just enjoy the process, be conservative, be safe, you know.
Yeah, and I think that like making slower strength gains, like that's where you're gonna have like a longer game. Basically, you're gonna be able to enjoy it more because you're gonna be able to do it for like, you know, 10 years instead of like 1 year, or, you know, because I think a lot of people, they get like in this zone where they just want to keep like, they want to, because they see people like, you know, they see a PR on Instagram every day, or they hear about a PR on whatever, and they just hear about all these PRs and like, oh well, like why am I not getting these PRs? Like, should I be worried about that? And like they try to max out and stuff, like they shouldn't. But you're just shortening like your lifespan where you're able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, you definitely have to have like a very, very, like you better have a very strong and solid foundation if you want to carry on with like powerlifting or whatever it is that you're doing for a very long time. Because, you know, your back, like once you injure your back, it's never going to go back to the original condition. Like it's never going to properly heal 100%. It doesn't matter like any kind of surgery, top of the line surgery, whatever you do, like once you blow your back out, like it's never going to feel the same, and you're never going to be able to be as potentially strong as if you were to, you know, play it safe and do things the right way to begin with.
Yeah. I think like for us, because like we always played sports in high school and stuff like that, like you'd go into like the weight room with like the coach of your team or whatever, and they're like, okay, do this, and like, okay, we'll go bench, but you know, you're benching with your back flat and you're, you know, pressing out basically like over your face or something, you know, like,
yeah, like in sketchy form and stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like the atmosphere like then was like, you know, do as much weight as you can basically, but like at that point it should have been like, build this foundation. Like,
yeah,
it's like there's one thing I could go back and like yell at my younger self and be like, figure your form out first. Like you need to get this shit locked down before you start trying to pile on weights.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, I guess I have the benefit of like, I was like naturally kind of strong, I guess. So I was able to put a lot of weight on in certain like instances where it's like, oh my gosh, I'll see like a video from like 3 or 4 years ago of me squatting and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just have to have that foundation first.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like, and then after, you know, I don't know how many years, but like after a while, like if you've been training powerlifting for like 15, 20 years, like your strength gain is obviously going to be like, it's going to diminish. It's going to get smaller and smaller because you've been so used to like training. And like after that, you know, like I guess people who are in that boat can't really relate to like, oh, building your foundation. Well, then just switch up the stimulus. Like switch up like how are you squatting? Like do different sorts of squats, like Anderson, like Kircher squats, front squats, safety bar squats. I don't know, like switch it up, because if you switch up your different types of training and implements and stuff, that's like a thing that your CNS has to adapt to, and then you'll make gains that way, you know?
Yeah.
So two different things, just the foundation and switching things up, I'd say.
So with your personal training clients, do you have anybody that's like pursuing the avenues that you used to do, or?
Yeah, I do. I got a powerlifting client. Most of them just want to lose weight, like just gen fitness, like get me strong, get me glutes.
Yeah.
And delts and glutes. That's all girls care about.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to guess delts.
I wouldn't have guessed that either, no.
My clients, they're pretty into bodybuilding, so I guess they kind of like the way NPC girls look, and so they want to
Okay.
do that. But I have a client that's doing powerlifting right now. I think she's competing in October, so still a long way to go. But right now we're working on lots of like foundational work and stuff. I want to make sure she's safe and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good to have.
It's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun
that's
to
cool.
train. It's fun to train clients with like the stuff that I was passionate about.
Yeah.
So,
Will you ever train anybody for strongman, you think, or?
I don't think I would. I don't think so. I know enough to like be able to throw myself out there and compete, but I don't know if I know enough to be able to train someone for an actual competition, because there's a lot of implements that I've never tried before, and like my form, I'd say, with strongman isn't the strongest, so I would definitely like recommend them to someone else. Like I'd love to like give tips and stuff like that, but to be like an accountable coach, probably not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me, like in any of these avenues, there's so much of a range of like knowledge base.
Mm-hmm.
Like I follow like a couple guys. The one guy's name is like Mike. I can't even pronounce his last name, but he's like one of like the most highly respected like powerlifting coaches, and he'll like post about stuff, and it's like right over my head, like no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy named Dave Tate who runs Elite FTS, and he'll post about stuff too, and it's like, no,
Didn't catch
don't
any of it.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it's like, we could talk to somebody at the gym who's just starting, and I'm sure we could give them all sorts of advice, but the advice from these high level people is so far beyond me that it's like, wow, I have so much to learn.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's in different spots of their journey and everything,
It's just amazing how like advanced, some of this stuff can get.
for sure. Oh yeah, like with people who like do it for a living, imagine them, like, they're recording their form and their technique and like scrutinizing every single detail and stuff, because it's like the slightest differences will end up like it's either like first place or second place. Like you can make a world of a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've competed, but I'd say I don't know like very much about any of the stuff that I competed in. Like I think I know enough, but like I'm not an expert. And so.
Right. And then the whole thing with like coaching form too. I feel like there's a lot of like misunderstandings, and like people are coached like poorly, because I think there's some coaches that are like my way or the highway when it comes to like technique, and then there's other people that are like, oh well, if that's just like your coach, where he wasn't really like working with you on form, where there's got to be like that happy medium where you're like, okay, I'll work with your body type because your leverages are different and stuff, but you still need to have these fundamentals. And I feel like there's a lot of coaches that are on like those two extremes where it's like they're either trying to force you into something, or they're just like hands off totally, and it's
Yeah,
doesn't help, yeah.
there's definitely a lot of personal trainers out there that are like not the greatest, and I don't really know the reason why. Like, I mean, I'd imagine that they just aren't aware that their client is doing something with bad form, maybe. Like, I'd hope that they care enough to like be able to fix it, and they just kind of like just don't know, what correct form is. Because
Right.
with like leverages and different heights and like mobility and all that stuff, like it all plays a role, So like, let's say if I'm teaching my girls how to squat, like I can't teach every one of them. Like there's no go-to like there's a couple like basic steps, like okay, like keep your chest up, brace and hips and butt back and things like that. But when it comes to like training them each individually, like I have different styles and techniques to like train them and like show them how to squat, because they all move differently. Their bodies aren't built the same. So being a personal trainer is it's not just about studying the book, acing the exam, because first of all, the exam's not going to do anything for you. Like I took the exam and like none of the questions, like, I've never used anything in that book in my real world training. You just got to go out there and, like, kind of get mentored under different coaches and work with a bunch of people and, like, learn that way.
Right.
But yeah,
And I think going from like general population to like performance too, I think that's where there almost needs to be like, I don't know, more requirements for, because I mean, like, I think most people that take like the personal training courses and pass the exams and stuff like that, they would be able to take like a general population person who wanted to lose weight and, you know, like put on a little bit of muscle, and like they should be able to help them. But I feel like if you have like someone who wants to compete and like, you know, they're training for like high level performance and stuff, like
It's got to be a new level of.
because there's really
For
not
sure.
there's not really a difference though, is there? Like the certification?
no, there isn't. At least I don't think so. You could like specialize in under your own resume, like take classes that you choose to take classes for, to try to like increase your knowledge in certain things.
Mhm.
But I mean, when it comes down to getting your personal training cert, it's pretty much the same all throughout, I'd say. And like, even with the personal training certs, like, I didn't use any of that for my general fitness people, you know. And let's say like if I had a passion for powerlifting and wanted to coach powerlifters only, I would definitely have to like take classes or go to seminars and go to workshops and stuff, and I better know what the hell I'm talking about, because, you know, when you're telling people to lift PRs and weight that they've never touched before, or you're doing overload on their CNS and their body and stuff, that stuff can be really dangerous. And if you hurt your client, like, if, you know, they can sue you, like, it's a huge liability, you know.
Right. Yeah, it was like, and I've seen like at the gym too, like, you know, not that, you know, pretty recently, like I saw a kid fail a deadlift attempt, 2 separate deadlift attempts in a single day, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, you just like wonder what, you know, what kind of like programming they're following, or like what kind of coaching. It's like, that can't be, I mean, I don't know. I think of like, you fail a deadlift once and you're like, all right, like I should probably like pack it up for the day, I guess, but I don't know. I guess there's all different ways people approach things, but you'd think their CNS would just be destroyed.
Yeah. I think, like, if you're recording yourself or you have someone watching you, and let's say you fail the attempt, but your form was off, like maybe fix your form, change a couple different things, and maybe go for a second. But yeah, for sure, like if it's not in the tank, it's not there, and you know, it's okay. A lot of people, like, they just lift with their ego so much that they, you know, they don't care. Like, they have to get it up. Like, no matter if, like, they're benching, no matter if my butt goes up, like, 3 feet tall, like, I need to get this up. And it's like, no.
Right. It's like, just, if you're, like, your technical limit, if you're training beyond that, then, like, you probably shouldn't be getting the weight, because that's when you're compensating and you're not really, like, training that strength correctly.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you're gonna personal train then, like through med school, or?
Probably not.
No.
To be honest with you, I'm probably going to just live and breathe med school stuff. Only once again to med school. Fingers crossed that I do get in. Yeah, and after that, I don't think I could personal train on the side and stuff. But now, I'm like so fixated on like, I want to become an MD, and like I have goals in that in itself, and I want to like, you know, I want to write books and do research and all that stuff. So personal training is not so much of a passion for me anymore.
Okay.
I'm still a personal trainer now, just to kind of get the bills paid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love my job. I love all the clients I train and everything, but I'm definitely like kind of headed in a different direction and with different goals and stuff.
Okay.
You know.
Do you prefer doing clients like one-on-one, or do you like small group, or do you have like a preference for that?
I personally love to do one-on-ones, because then I could, because it's like I do more group fitness training, but it's like everyone has such different needs and like different strengths and weaknesses and stuff. So when you're doing a group based training, it's more of like doing like very like easy things where everyone can do it, and it's like safe enough for everyone to do it at the same time. So in case if someone has like kind of iffy form and you don't notice because there's like 10 other people, it's kind of acceptable. Whereas like with one-on-one training, I could be like, okay, like, you know, your hip flexors are really tight, or you're quad dominant, let's work more on your hamstrings and on your glutes and things like that, where you can't really do that in a group setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing I asked you earlier, before we started, so did you ever train like the conjugate method when you were doing like powerlifting or anything like that?
No.
No.
For powerlifting, all I did was lift heavy shit every day. Like, it was just
max out.
crazy. I was
Sounds
literally
terrible.
maxing out every single day, and like, you know, I was so new to the game, and I was like, it was all so exciting to me, and I'd like to say that I was younger, so I had more energy, and like, I was able to do a lot more. It just completely like flew over my head. I'm just like, yeah, this is great, this is fun.
I mean, you have someone that's like older, like more experienced, like telling you to do these things too, like.
Yeah, for sure. And like he held like tons of world records, you know, but he was just like a genetically like gifted freak. Like he was just really, really strong, and like that's how like he got strong from lifting heavy. So he just kind of assumed, you know, like, this is how you get strong, so I'm gonna make all my clients do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, when I took that break, I was gonna like, my plan was to come back, you know, and do powerlifting with him, but then I started doing my own research and stuff, and I was like, his style is not too much for me, and so I kind of just did my own thing.
So what's your research on?
For what? For when I was like fixing myself, or?
Well, no, like you said, you like want to write books and stuff like that. Like, what kind of avenues are you gonna pursue for that?
Well, if I were to do my own research, I think it would be geared towards nutritional biochemistry. But right now, I'm working in a biochemistry lab with a professor at OU, and he basically studies like BRCA1 tumor suppressor genes, FANK-J helicases. So they're basically proteins that identify like damage in the DNA, and they fix that. So if there's mutations in any of those proteins, that's when like breast cancer or like ovarian cancer happens. So he's trying to like isolate, purify, and like study the structure and the function of them. So I'm just kind of helping him with that, and that's a lot of fun. But for me, I'm more passionate towards like nutrition and health and wellness, not so much cancer. But yeah, so if I, in my fantasy world, I would want to do nutritional biochem probably.
Okay.
So.
I did take Bio 1200 last semester, so you know.
You have a general knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, I think it was
Big
like
knowledge.
I might be like totally wrong on this, but it was like P53 was like the protein that's supposed to like be cancer suppressant. That was what I remembered from that. That was
Hell
it.
yeah!
I'll talk for that. I will.
Got to take a math and science elective, so that's what I took.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, so my fiance did exercise science was her major, and she said like hardly any nutrition was taught as part of like their curriculum, which just seems like crazy because like, I mean, they're totally like hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's a big part. Yeah.
That's a really huge issue in like a lot of health majors. You know, like I think even with nursing and med school and stuff, I think even in med school you only take like one nutrition course because, you know, they just assume it's a registered dietitian's forte. So, you know, like for MDs and NDs and doctors and stuff, like your job is to diagnose and prescribe. But now you're seeing the way that we're practicing medicine, there's a slight shift where it used to be like treatment, right, before prevention, but now we're trying to prevent before treat. So now we're getting that switch where like, you know, like the 7 dimensions of wellness, like spiritual, environmental. I think Noah kind of talked about that.
He did a little bit. Yeah.
Where like nutritional.
It's like a holistic instead of a.
Yeah, people are going into more like holistic, and it's kind of funny because it's like when you get down to it, really all you gotta do is get enough sleep, move your body, get some sunlight, eat well, eat your greens. Like that's like that's what you need to do, you know. And in this fast-paced world where not a lot of people are exercising, we're eating like fast food, convenient foods. We're not eating like whole foods, and even like the whole foods with the way that the farming, I don't know too much about it, so I could be wrong, but like, you know, you're spraying pesticides and all these herbicides and stuff, so the nutritional content of the whole foods are not as high as they used to be. So with all these stuff, it just kind of gives you like a synergistic effect of like just a road down to chronic diseases, I feel like. And stress, like people don't like think that stress makes you gain weight and causes all these things. Like actually, if you study like how it happens physiologically, like yes, it can cause weight gain and like a bunch of different things, chronic diseases and all this stuff. So it's just coming down to the basics, and no one wants to like do it because it's effort, right? You got to put effort. You got to make a conscious decision to get your ass up and exercise. You got to make a conscious decision to say no to the pizza and like eat your greens and stuff. Everyone just wants this like simple, like just give me the pill, let me live my life, give me the pill. And you know, it's not working.
Right. And the crazy thing with food is like to buy organic food, my grocery bill would be like
stupid.
My grocery bill would be like $200 a week or something stupid. Just like the amount of chicken and stuff I eat.
Yeah.
I always joke with Rachel. I'm like, yeah, I try to find like the biggest chicken breasts because that's probably got the most growth hormone in it. So we'll sponge that off of it.
Yeah.
I think you can only inject growth hormone in cattle, right? But you can't in chicken. You can.
Oh. Tastes good.
I don't know, but it's just like crazy though to buy like 5 pounds of organic chicken.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
A lot of money. Yeah.
There's actually this thing where they're doing like biodynamic farming, or I think that's what it's called, where it's like top of the line, like organic, and they're trying to make the crops like 110% like as nutritionally like calorically dense as possible. Not calories, but nutritionally dense as possible. And that's even more expensive than organic. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, who is going to be able to afford this? Like,
aren't those genetically modified in the end too? Like the GMO, like doesn't that get attached to it?
I don't think so. For that biodynamic thing, I don't think so. But that's another thing too. Like people, there's a huge debate on like non-GMO foods. Like, do you guys think it's bad?
I don't know enough. Like,
doesn't bother me. I don't know. I don't know enough.
People like say like they think like genetically modified, like, oh man, like that doesn't sound good, so it must not be good. But it's just basically like, I think we've been genetically modifying things for like, it's dated way back when you're like crossbreeding certain plants and stuff to like pick the best like genotypes traits, and traits out of the two crops, and you breed them together. I don't see the bad in that.
Right.
And but there's a huge debate about that. But why does that even matter? Because people out here are just eating like crappy food. Like, you know, people are just debating about like whether gluten are good or bad for you. And I'm like, just eat whole foods. Just eat foods like if the ingredients has more than like 3 or even more than 1 ingredient listed in it, like don't eat it.
Yeah, it's,
you know, just keep it simple.
Yeah, I think like some people get like really advanced with like how picky they are with like certain things, but in reality, like the biggest issue is getting from like all the processed stuff to just eating like chicken, potatoes,
exactly.
Rice, like things that, I mean, it is like it's the only ingredient because it's a whole food.
That's what it is, yeah.
Like even in like boxed foods where it says like natural, like I had a client, she was like, it said all natural, so you know, I'm assuming it's healthy. And I'm like, you know, natural, the word natural isn't regulated by the FDA or government or anything. Anyone can slap the word natural on their product. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
You know, and same thing with like vegan or keto and stuff like that. Like just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. Oreos are freaking vegan, I believe, you know, they're not healthy. And like keto, first of all, like
oh boy.
No, we'll keep it quick, but like first of all, like keto's not like if you're thinking this is a public service announcement. If you're thinking on going on any diet, and that diet, if you know that you can sustain that for the rest of your life, okay, have at it. But if you know that you're only doing it for a couple months, like, I would suggest not to. Unless if, like, you have an end goal, like, I need to lose, like, an X amount of weight for vacation, and you don't mind gaining back that weight after vacation, or even a little bit more, okay. But, like, all these diets, the quick fix stuff is just not going to work. You know what I mean? You can go on keto and lose that weight, but if you, like, somehow manage to, like, compromise your metabolism, you're going to gain back even more weight, or you're going to yo-yo diet, like, yo-yo in weight and stuff, and that is really bad for your body.
Yeah, like, the thing I always think of when I think of, like, keto and people, like, totally cutting out carbs, it's like, apply that level of discipline to your normal eating and you'll be fine.
For sure.
Like,
Carbs, fats, and protein, those are macronutrients, which means, like, you need them in abundance to survive. I don't think you should be cutting out any macronutrient, really. Like,
right.
You know, on a health aspect at least, like, you need all three.
Yeah, and, like, kind of off of that, if you look at, like, the knowledge that, you know, was always, like, passed down with, like, the food pyramid and stuff like that, like, that is crazy. Like, that was, like, the gold standard for, like, how you're supposed to eat.
Sure.
And it was you, like, looking at it now, it's like, it's just, like, it should be based off your macros, like, you know, what your goals are. That's, like, reflects how much you should have each. But, like, I don't count food or anything, like.
I did for a while, like, back when I was, like, trying to lose weight and stuff, and I was counting, like, for sure, like, if you're trying to lose weight, counting your macros and tracking your food, like, you'll lose weight, like, especially if you're following it. Like, at the end of the day, it's just calories in and out, right? Like, you can get fancy with it and say, like, I'm going on keto and stuff, but ultimately, all those diets, what the conclusion is you're eating less than what you were eating before.
Right.
But yeah, like, I don't track anymore. Like, I intuitively eat. Like, I'm not saying I eat the cleanest, you know, like, out of anybody. Like, I still have my cake and cookies and all that stuff. I have a really bad sweet tooth. It's so bad.
Okay.
But I do a balance. Like, eat clean and eat healthy, but I also eat for my spirit.
Yeah.
Emotionally, you know, and social. Like, food is it's a culture too. It's not just, like, to live and survive. You guys know that. Like, every time, like, you celebrate, you go out to eat, or you, like, every holiday, what is it about? Food.
Yeah.
You know? I think you just need that balance, which is, like, it's hard. It's a lot harder to do than actually, like, say, but.
So what do you think about intermittent fasting?
It works. It's the same thing with all the other diets. It works for some people. If you can sustain that, you know, going on forward for the rest of your life, like, go ahead. I think just what it comes down to again is, like, you have such a short amount of time to eat that you end up eating a lot less. And I've heard a couple studies on, like, if you have, like, leaky gut syndrome, or you have poor digestion, or, like, insulin or hormone, like, imbalance, that can also help as well. Yeah. So those are with that you're leaning more towards, like, diseases and health, right? Not so much like diet. But I think if you're trying to cut, or if you just feel good and you can sustain that, I don't see why you couldn't do it. But I think for, like, an average Joe, like, you just want to lose weight and you're pretty healthy and you have no illnesses or diseases, I would just, like, I just tell everyone, like, try to eat whole foods, like, stick to whole foods, because whole foods, you know, like, fruits and vegetables and stuff, it's very high in fiber, so it'll keep you fuller longer. It has less of an insulin spike, because, you know, with, like, sugary cereals and things like that, like, when you eat it, your insulin jacks up, and then as it comes back down, that's when you start getting cravings and you're hungry. So it's all about, like, the fiber keeping you full and keeping your insulin under control, I'd say. So that's, like.
And I think it's, like, one thing so I've always been, like, really critical of, like, the fad diets and stuff like that. And then the fall semester last year, I did intermittent fasting. And it was funny because, like, when I told Rachel, she was like, "You're, like, joking, right?" Because I'd always, like, make fun of that kind of stuff. And I was like, it was basically, like, I had went like through like a 2-week period where I was like eating just like a bastard, basically, like just whatever I wanted. And I was like, all right, I need like some sort of like discipline. So like that was my tool that I used so that, you know, I wasn't eating past like 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever it was, because like for me that was where it was like
snacking hour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I get really hungry, and it was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna. Where if I just had like, if I could just apply that discipline, I didn't have to call it intermittent fasting. I just had to not be just like a jackass and eat like, you know, whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
So like I use it as a tool, but I stopped doing it. It didn't really like align with my goals, like trying to build muscle and stuff. I didn't feel like I was getting the most out of that. So
yeah.
But it definitely did. Like I feel like my stomach was happier with it.
Yeah, you benefited from it. Yeah, it like again, like I've said, people with like poor digestion and stuff, it seems to benefit them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, to like lose weight and stuff, like yeah, you can lose weight, but then like if you don't want to sustain that, what's gonna happen after you stop intermittent fasting? You can't go back to what you were originally eating. You're just gonna gain the weight back. Mm-hmm. And you know, calorie restricting is such a like, it's so hard to like talk about that to my clients, because your body works like a thermostat, right? So like homeostasis, like let's say like I can maintain my body weight at like 1,500 calories, just for example, and I want to lose weight, and you know I'm doing cardio or weightlifting is one of the best ways to speed up your metabolism. But let's just say I'm just doing cardio and I want to lose weight, so I decrease my calories to like 1,000. Well, your body doesn't know that it's dieting, it's just, all it's trying to do is just to keep you alive and like functioning. So it's gonna be like, okay, well, you're not giving me the amount of food that I want, that I need to maintain, so now I need to slow our whole body and our metabolism down to adjust to these calories. So you'll initially lose weight, but then you'll plateau, right? And then what do people do? Like once they plateau, they're like, okay, I'm gonna restrict my calories even more, and it's to the point where like you can't restrict any longer, and you know if you push it back up, you start gaining fat because your body's like, oh my gosh, she's feeding me again. Like I don't know when I'm gonna get this food again, and you start storing fat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's just I say you eat. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard subject to like talk to, and it depends on like who the person is and your personality. Like again, like are you like, do you have an addictive personality and all sorts of variables and factors? But if it comes down to it, I'd say just move your body, eat clean, and like don't be so hard on yourself. Like if there's days where you're craving stuff, like have a little bit of it. Like don't restrict and end up binge eating anyways.
Right. And that's what I think a lot of people get wrong, is they think that like the same, because that kind of goes the other way too. When you're trying to like gain weight and like put on muscle, people think, oh, like I'll just have a protein shake with my meal or whatever. Like they just like do that one stimulus and they'll gain a little bit of weight, but then they'll like they'll like basically like stay the same.
Or you have like guys that like just eat whatever, like eat real dirty to gain weight. Like
yeah,
God.
I have like, I think it's crazy, like the guys that are like the mass monsters, like the professional bodybuilder types, because it's like those guys had to keep increasing their eating every step along that, like the process in which they're gaining this weight
to get up there. Yeah.
It's like I tried going to like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
I went to like 330-ish grams of protein a day for a while.
Dang, homie.
And I gained like 4 or 5 pounds, and then I just stayed at that weight and felt like garbage. So I was like, all right, this isn't cutting it. I gotta do something different.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just like opened my eyes. I was like, holy crap! Like these guys that are doing this, year round to maintain those 300-pound frames. That's like, that is crazy.
I know. I get a lot of like, like feedback. People saying like, well, if I don't eat dirty, like I'm not going to be able to gain this X amount of weight. I'm like, okay, so do you think gaining that X amount of weight is going to be healthy anyways? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're, I've only dealt with clients that are trying to lose weight. I've never had any clients that try to like gain a massive amount of weight. But if you have to eat like super shitty to gain weight, like that's not good either.
Right.
Yeah,
you're going to pay for that down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely now for me, like training and nutritionally and stuff, I'm just trying to like be healthy and happy, and that's it. Like no extreme. Like I don't really care too much about like how shredded I am or losing weight or gaining weight anymore. It's like whatever, whatever I'm happy and most comfortable in. And like same thing at the gym. Like I kind of, when I work out at the gym, it's almost like celebrating and honoring like what my body can do. Like appreciating the fact that it is strong and it can do, these things. But other than that, like I'm not too hard on myself about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like you gotta find a space where you can eat the foods you want to eat and you can like enjoy yourself, but you have to like basically find goals that can align themselves with that.
Yeah, and everyone's different. Like to get to where I'm at now, it took me years. I struggled a lot with like my training, my body image, and like the way I ate and stuff. I had like when I was restricting myself down to 700, 900 calories, I had binge eating episodes, and that's when I noticed. I was like, okay, like this is not good. Like this is getting way out of hand. Like I'm getting way too obsessed with like maintaining abs and being like this strong and X, Y, and Z, and that's when I told myself, I was like, this is enough. Like,
right,
this is not healthy.
And like if you enjoy playing like the long game, I think that's where you're gonna have like the most success. Just like with strength gains, like if you're trying to put on muscle or like lose weight, like do it over the course of like a couple years. Like if you're even in like a small deficit for like a few years, like you're gonna see like results, or you're in a small surplus, like you're gonna slowly like put on muscle. But people just want like that,
everyone always
they want that 10-week transformation, or they want that 8-week shred or whatever. And it's like,
I think like the weight loss like supplement like industry is like one of the richest like supplement industries out there, because everyone wants that quick fix.
Right.
It's crazy, and none of those things work.
So like,
none of them work.
What were you taught during your courses about supplementation
in nutrition?
Yeah.
In my classes. Well, for one, they're not regulated. I think everyone kind of knows that now. They're not regulated by the government and FDA. So I think everyone's seen the video where you can make a supplement in your basement or in your garage and like sell it, and it'll be completely fine. You
just put the little crosses on the nutrition label.
Yep.
Basically put, like the, what do they call it? So there's some sort of like, there's some name for it, but
the asterisks.
Proprietary blend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, proprietary blend. That's so. Never buy anything that has proprietary blend, because what they basically do is they blend a bunch of things together. They'll list like let me think. For an example, let's say it's a proprietary blend of like something for like beauty skin, like skin,
right.
Like get glowy skin, this is a proprietary blend or whatever. They'll put like maybe like a sprinkle of like the most expensive ingredient that catches your eye, and then the rest could be like tapioca, like starch, sugar, like random stuff. They can put whatever they want in it, so you're not even actually getting the amount of the ingredient that you want, really.
Right. And they don't have to specify either.
No, they don't. I think, well, they list like how many milligrams and stuff on the back, but I don't know if they're even like required to have to do that. Like the whole supplement industry is so loosely regulated that people get away with shit all the time. And a lot of different like herbal supplements and stuff like that, they say, oh, this is for weight loss, this is for whatever, but there's no scientific study or data that proves that any of it works. They have like theories and like bio mechanisms and proposals and stuff to like how it could potentially work, or like maybe they've done it on rats, but then when they try to do it on humans it didn't work. But they don't tell you that. They're like, oh, we did it on rats, it was successful, so it must work, and for general population, people who don't study like medicine and health sciences and stuff, they're not gonna know that. Like my mom does the same shit all the time. She buys these like supplements, and then she's like, look, the front label says like you can lose weight. I'm like, okay, Mom, like the front doesn't matter. No matter how pretty it is, no matter like how expensive the bottle looks, look in the back, look on the ingredient list, what's listed in the ingredients, know?
So what did they teach you though? So we got off track. What did they teach you about that in school? Like, did they teach you like much about like supplementation, like for fitness or for anything like that, or?
So I took what was it called? Like a herbs and supplements class. I think it was one of the nutrition class requirements, and we learned a lot about different like herbs and spices and things like that. And like it was an online class. She had like PowerPoint presentations for like turmeric, like the benefits and like what they can do for you. Elderberry, ginseng, like all those different spices that I'm sure you guys heard of, like, or like green tea extract. She would have like, oh, this is the benefits, like this is what it does. But when I do my own research, like, I don't know, I'm a weirdo. I read science journals, scholarly journals, like for fun. So when I look up my own studies, like, you know, none of it is like really proven. Like, right. I don't want to like make bold statements here, but like a lot of the herbs and supplements that are out in the market, like there's not enough studies to like prove that it really works.
Yeah.
So it's hard because the classes are telling me like, oh, this is good for this reason and this reason, but then when I like go and do my own research, like, you know, without any biased opinions and things like that, I don't get much. Yeah. Same thing with like apple cider vinegar. People taking shots in the morning because it's supposed to like suppress your appetite and like burn fat and all this stuff. I did my research and it's like 50-50. Some people lose weight, some people don't, and
there's so many factors though too. Like how do you know the person that's taking the apple cider vinegar shot has more self-control and like, well, because I'm doing this for my health, I might as well not eat that cheeseburger too, or like you know.
Yeah.
Because I mentor under like a naturopathic doctor, and she said with the apple cider vinegar shots, like it does suppress appetite, but you have to be really in tune with your body, like to notice like, oh, like I'm not that hungry. Right. It's not gonna like make you like, oh yeah, like I don't want food. I'm totally like capped off full. Like it's the difference is like so like microscopically small that like it's the study in the end like just shows that like no. Yeah.
Do you think, because like the other thing is too, a lot of people just don't eat like because they're hungry. A lot of it's like boredom or like
snacking or just like craving.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what percentage of eating is actually because people are like actually
they
hungry.
Need it.
Yeah. Like again, like food, it's like it's such a cultural thing. And actually it's like interesting enough, like for us in the US, like when you ask people, like they did a study and they asked people like, when you think of food, like what comes to mind? And a lot of it is numbers, like calories. It's good for you or it's bad for you. Whereas like if you ask like in the European countries, like the French and stuff like that, they don't think of like food, is it good or is it bad for you, or is it like calorically like dense or not dense. They like say how it makes them feel and things like that, if that makes any sense. They don't look at food as like such an enemy, right. You know, and they eat like whatever they kind of want. Like they use butter, they use fats. They're not afraid to eat like croissants for breakfast and stuff like that, but it's because they have portion control and they have balance, and they don't treat food as in like, you know, it's bad for me. And I think when you kind of tell yourself like, oh, that's bad for me, I can't have it, you kind of want it even more, you know. Right. What I mean? Like that's how binge eating kind of happens, right? So the way we look at food is definitely different compared to other countries. And like I think they did a study where they recorded how long it took an average American family to eat at McDonald's compared to like a European country. And like I guess the French ate 22 more like minutes than us. Like we would eat real fast and be done with it, where them, they took their time because eating was more of like a social aspect, you know. And so it's interesting. It's just like little variables like that where it's like we're always on the go and we're trying to like eat for convenience and things like that. And how, you know, look at our BMI compared to like over there.
Yeah. I just crossed into obese actually.
Yeah, those BMI scales.
I just crossed 30.
Yeah, that's real life.
I have a scale, like a scale that sends it to my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just crossed 30, so.
Good for you.
Well, congrats.
Technically obese.
Congrats for you. Yeah, we all know that BMI doesn't. It's especially for athletes and stuff. It's
But
not
for your,
accurate. But they're
individual.
giving you a weight range. So basically what they're saying is we're a lot more obese than the European countries and
right.
people in France and stuff. Why is that? And then when they did studies, they've noticed little things like that. And people in European countries eat more whole foods. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And a lot of chemicals and preservatives and stuff that we use in America are actually banned over in the European countries, which I think says a lot too.
Okay. Because I think from what I've heard, a lot of times people in those countries they'll buy food for a couple days at a time. Or here it's oh yeah, you buy groceries for a week, or maybe some people do 2 weeks or more. So it's something's keeping that food from going bad.
Yeah, look at a box of Cheez-Its. It expires next year.
Hey, hold
dude.
on.
Okay, I know Cheez-Its are great.
Don't
they
even
taste
talk
great.
about something else.
Okay. For example, what don't you like?
Just not Cheez-Its. They're so good. They didn't do anything wrong.
Well, any of the junk food, it has an expiration date of freaking 2024. That is not
exposing Cheez-Its like that.
Guys,
Come on,
that's not
guys.
normal.
Cheez-Its are fine for you. You can eat those.
She's just called Cheez-Its junk food.
Hey,
Yeah.
eat whatever,
The
eat
disrespect.
whatever you want. Eat whatever you want.
Man,
But that can't be good for you. If something can last for 4 years, you want to put that in your body.
it's literally made of cheese. Have you seen the commercials?
Okay.
Yeah, it's that block of cheese, that big wheel.
Yeah,
Oh my
and it
God,
talks.
You're killing me. I wonder what the first ingredient is on the Cheez-Its are.
Cheese?
Are you sure?
No, I don't know.
My
It's definitely
roommate doesn't have any, or else I'd check. But
yeah.
rats. Twinkies last for
All of those
100
things
years,
last forever.
Yeah, those are kind of scary.
yeah,
Food is not meant to last that freaking long.
right.
I mean, I'm not. Hey, I have my fair share. I eat junk food too.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
I just
I offended
Cheez-Its
him.
have a special place in
I
my heart.
offended him.
Especially the burnt ones.
I didn't know that.
The toasty. Yeah.
Okay, I won't bring them up anymore.
Thank you.
So, what supplements would you say are like green light for you, if anything?
For me personally, or for people in general?
If you had someone that was actually could use supplements, because a lot of people just start taking them when they start working out,
Yeah.
and it's not because they've hit a plateau or reached a point where they're struggling to get if they were actually to be used to supplement what someone was doing, what would you recommend to people?
I guess for if you're, if you're working out, so you're asking me,
Yeah, so it's
if you're
say somebody
working
that's
out?
working out, say
Well, okay, so
trying to gain muscle. We'll say that.
yeah. Well, technically, I think you guys have already had the discussion. You don't really need supplements, right? Supplements
Right.
are just to kind of give you a little push and help and a little help,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not mandatory. They're not a necessity. You don't need them, and everyone is so different too.
Right.
So, I guess for working out and bodybuilding, the only thing that I could say is maybe if you're not hitting your protein and you have a hard time hitting your protein, maybe protein shakes. But other than that, pre-workout, creatine, and all those other things, you don't really need it. And it's scary because you don't want to ever suggest anything to anyone because you don't know, are they taking medication? Do they have a health condition? Because if they're taking certain medications and you introduce a supplement and they can mingle and make a bad impact on their body. So for supplements, I normally don't really recommend any to clients because there's no general supplement that I think everyone can take. And even multivitamins, they did a study for that. It doesn't really do anything for you.
Okay.
With our country, because we eat so many fortified junk food things, they fortify it a lot with vitamins and minerals. So I don't think we're necessarily lacking vitamins A, B, and C and stuff like that.
Okay.
So Yeah, it's kind of like a tricky subject. It kind of just depends, like, who you are and, like, what you're eating, what are you training, a lot of variables.
Right.
So.
I guess it just kind of like goes to your deficiencies. Like,
yeah.
What do you think about creatine though?
I honestly don't know very much about it, and I don't take it. So
it's very, very like well researched though.
Very well researched. I think it's the number one most researched supplement in the bodybuilding industry, but I was never interested in it, so I never did my own study on it. So I honestly don't know.
All right, well, you got homework then.
I do got homework. I'll get back to you on that.
You need to hop on it, is what we're trying to say.
Okay.
You sprinkle it on your Cheez-It and then you eat it.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't do that. That's a lie. I lied.
He probably does that.
That sounds awful.
It's flavorless mostly, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, I don't know. A lot of people, like, overcomplicate it, but... And you could totally call me out if you looked at whatever pre-workout I'm taking right now, because it probably has a bunch of crap in it that isn't necessary. But I don't drink coffee, because otherwise I'd probably do that for pre-workout, because, like, caffeine is, like, the main thing. Like,
yeah.
That's, like, the main reason I would take it. It's, like, if you're at, like, work all day or something, like, it's nice to have energy when you're at the gym. And caffeine does that for you. You know, you get that little pick-me-up. But, yeah, then, like, if you're falling short in your diet, like protein, it's easy. You know, you make a shake when you're walking out the door or something in the morning if you don't want to cook eggs at 6 o'clock or whatever. And then creatine, I've been taking that for a while. And
do you notice a difference between going with or without it?
When I started taking it, I could.
Yeah. What about now?
Like, I guess I haven't been not taking it for a while.
And like, do you eat red meat?
Yeah.
Because red meat has creatine in it too.
Right.
So I don't think you'd be...
I probably wouldn't be deficient.
But I mean, if it works for you, even if it's just a placebo effect, hey, if it works for you, then I guess keep taking it. If you...
It's cheap.
Got the funds.
It's cheap.
Superstitious, I just...
You gotta keep on going now. It's too late.
They could be like just shipping me like a bag of flour, and it's like, I don't know. It's just going in there with the pre-workout. It's probably good.
See, doesn't that suck? Like, the fact that, like, what if it was actually like freaking just flour?
It would make dough.
You know?
It would make dough. We know it's not flour, but it could
what
just
if it
be
was
like...
just like starch, like tapioca or cornstarch or some shit? Like, you just never know.
Right, and I mean, it's just like, because I get my stuff from like bulk supplements. It's just like they send you like single like ingredient bags.
Yeah.
And so, like, because I used to make my own pre-workout. And so I'd get...
You're gnarly, dude. You have your own chalk. You make
it
your
all
own
in
pre-workout.
jars and had it all measured out and calculated.
That's nuts.
Yeah, well, that way I knew exactly I knew what was in it based on what the place was sending me. And they, claim to have, like, lab tested whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But, like, you could take the beta-alanine and, like, that's the one that makes your face tingle.
Yeah.
And, like, you could take some out of the bag and, like, put it on your tongue and you could, like, feel it. So it's like...
Dude.
Right. Like...
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, it was...
Be a chemist.
It was, like, cheap. It was a lot cheaper than buying pre-workout.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, like, the ingredients were better, but...
Do you guys eat Len and Larry's cookies?
No. I haven't had them. I've seen them, I haven't.
Dude, I love
They're
them
the
so
big
much.
protein cookies?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had it before.
So, I think you have to eat the whole cookie to get 7 grams of protein, I believe. Someone did, like, they actually sent it to a lab and, like, tried to measure and see how much protein was actually in it. And actually was under. It wasn't even 7 grams of protein.
Really?
The entire cookie. And, like,
Just
there
eat,
was
like,
this whole, like,
one egg.
fiasco where, like, everyone was like, oh my god, like, freaking out. And then so they tried to, like, remake the cookie, and I guess it tasted drier and worse. There's, like, this huge
anything
ordeal
with,
about
like,
it.
high protein.
I mean, you shouldn't rely on that cookie for, the 7 grams of protein. But, like, the fact that, like, it listed 7 grams and it actually wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Savage.
Those cookies are so good. I don't know why people don't like them.
That's like
God.
you get such a range of tastes and flavors when you start getting into like the protein like snacks and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I've had some awful. There's Muscle Tech ones that we got for like really cheap, and they were like.
Don't they have like that iron, like the irony, like aftertaste too?
It was terrible. It felt like it looked like you were biting off of like almost like Play-Doh or something,
Oh,
and then just like the taste just
so
like
appetizing.
lingered for so long. Those were horrible.
That's what we love.
That and Cheez-Its.
And they were like a
Yeah,
hockey puck.
Cheez-Its,
Like
yeah.
you could probably play hockey with them,
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
and it would be like intact because it was just like a little brick. It was crazy.
We love it.
20 grams of protein though.
Yep.
That's what
That's
it
all
is.
you
That's
care
all that
about.
matters.
I
That's all that
should
matters.
have just eaten like 3 eggs and I would have been good, but nope. Had to have the protein cookies.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Any final words or pieces of advice?
You gotta have some wisdom. Kind of old.
Dang, bro.
If you could sum
Put
up,
me out like
if you
that.
could sum up your old Vietnamese
Oh God. Okay.
wisdom
Shooting fire over here.
into like 1 to 3 sentences, hit us with it.
Why are you trying to pigeonhole her into only 3 sentences?
I just wanted to be. I was thinking like concise.
He's sick of me rambling
something
on about.
fun.
It was after the Cheez-Its comment. It was all over. Like he
It
was
just,
like,
all the respect was gone.
I don't care about
Especially,
anything
like-
that this girl has to say.
All right, if you could sum it up in 1 to 3 paragraphs
What if she only has a sentence?
with 3 sentences of each in paragraph, so you have 1 to 9 sentences.
Wow, this
This is
is
like first grade.
dang. I should have brought my note cards.
I mean, for like just
Wide
actually
rules.
like meeting today, and then you go after his like pride and joy. Like, I guess I understand
It
it.
hurts. It
You
really-
should have told me. You should have told me before we went on air not to talk about Cheez-Its.
I didn't think of it
Dang.
honestly.
It's okay. You know, it's okay. We're over it. We're over it.
But,
Wisdom though? Anything?
I don't know. I think like people just make things too hard on themselves. Like just keep it simple. You know, move and exercise whichever way feels good and whatever makes you happy. Eat whole foods, and whole foods don't have to be boring. Like just play with spices. Pick up a freaking cookbook, learn how to cook, like play around with whole foods, and I don't know, just do what makes you happy, and I think do what you want and do what makes you happy, and you know, be as kind as possible and have a lot of courage, and you'll be good.
All right.
That was great.
Perfect.
That was
Well done,
great.
that.
No, it really was. I promise you. I promise you.
Thank you.